ARK has a lot of useless facts like this rock. Well, it serves no purpose. Well, just kidding. It actually has more purpose than most of my tribe members. But this guy, he doesn't have a thought behind those eyes. Today, we're going over 50 more useless facts about ARK. Over on ASC, if you use a magnifying glass on water, you can actually see straight through it. As you can see here, right under here, there are a bunch of rocks. If we come out towards the ocean, you can see a little bit more rocks, but you can see all the arches that are hidden underwater all around the map, which is pretty interesting. You can also see depths and see pretty much all the way up to the border. You can also see dinos and stuff. I'm trying to find one for you, but I think I'm zooming so far out that I really can't see any. But yeah, all those crystals that you can see out there, well, as soon as you go underwater, you can't see. There is a little bit of a limit to it. As you can see, yeah, that's your limit right there. If you ever come across a carbo in the wild, simply just hop on his back, squat, and punch, and look what he does. He just quite literally spins in circles. Now he does this differently depending on where you sit on his back, but the second that you move, you will fall off. So you gotta be careful when you gotta do it kind of quickly. Here's a better one for you just to show how fast that they can spin, but they literally can't hit you on the back, so you can sit here and just kind of have some fun with them. Inside of the Andrewsarchus' saddle, you can actually see this little green figure right here. Now, I did show this in one of my other last videos, but I didn't entirely cover, what this actually meant. If you don't know, this green smiley face is actually in most of your favorite games. It's in games like Black Ops, I think World of Warcraft, many other really big games. But yeah, it basically stands for Polycount, which is a website for gaming and all that. I don't know entirely too much about it. It's just a nice little signal that a lot of developers put in their game. Just kind of a little bit of an Easter egg, which is kind of cool. You can actually play C4 on a Dimorphodon, which, if you don't know, if you go ahead and whistle aggressive on him, as soon as he sees a dino or a other player, well, boom. You can just kind of blow him up just like that. Yes, it does one-shot them and the Dimorph doesn't last that long, but yeah, it does a good amount of damage to other dinos and players. So, if you're ever trying to fight some enemies and, well, their turrets aren't set on proper modes, well, you can grief their entire base just with Dimorphodons and C4. I'm interrupting today's video to tell you that this video is actually sponsored by the subscribe button. You see, I'm nearly at 100,000 subscribers and would love your support. Since I'm not doing a sponsor for this video, it would absolutely mean the world to me. Okay, did you subscribe? Psych! This video is sponsored by Mitra 9. Mitra 9 is a non-alcoholic supplement that quite literally makes you feel good. These drinks give you a high, but without the impairment. They have a ton of great flavors, my favorite being root beer. If you're looking for a new drink to replace your coffee in the morning, Mitra is the way to go. Simply go to mitra9.com and use my code Outcasts for 25% off your entire order. Now, back to the video. If you ever come across an enemy Dinopithecus and you walk up to him, you can actually access their inventory. Well, not really. By hitting E, it just instantly kind of kicks you out of their inventory. For some odd reason, this is in the game, and I don't know why you're able to access this, but you can at least see if there's anything in there. So if you find one in the wild, you can save yourself some time with, having to kill them or not. But yeah, pretty useless to be honest. Bee honey can actually be used to lure dinos near you, and this works for any dino in the game. Just simply put a piece of honey down on the ground, and as you can see, it lures in the PT, it lures in that Dilo, it's luring in a couple other things as well, but those are a little bit too far out of range. But yeah, as you can see, they will literally go after it until one of them picks it up, and you can keep doing this over and over. So let me go ahead and throw out another one. I can throw one out over here, and as you can see, they will literally keep following the honey. Alright, so for this next one, I'm actually going to use a piece of honey, just like I talked about, to lure in a PT, and as you can see, you can actually trap birds and all kinds of stuff inside of these tents, and well, now you can easily tame them. As you can see, you can still hit them straight through the tent, and well, just like that, they're knocked out. Eating organic polymer or your own poop actually will just straight up kill you. So it's a little bit quicker with organic polymer, so I'll go ahead and show that one first. As you can see, it instantly kills you, except that RG kind of timed that, made it look like he killed me, but he didn't. So organic polymer instantly kills you, and poop will kill you a little bit more slowly, but as you can see, it still does go down, but it only goes down a certain amount depending on what kind of poop that you have. But if you are ever trapped in a cage and you need to get out, simply just poop, grab your poop, and then eat it, and it will kill you. Again, with the Andrewsarchus, this can actually be used to tame Desmoduses. Now, not entirely, but I'll kind of show you what I mean. So with his saddle, he is unable to get picked by the Desmodus because the Desmodus just loves to pick people. So you can actually come up here and kind of filter out which ones that you don't want. So like for example, that's a level 15, so we can go ahead and just take care of him, right? But I see a level 5, let's take care of him real quick. And then there's a level 4, which we can take care of them. And the Desmodus physically cannot pick you off of this saddle, which is pretty insane. Occasionally on Crystal Isles over here on the map, over on these islands in the left hand corner, you can randomly just find Tusos that are just beached everywhere. Now this is a little bit more rare now because they did fix it for the most part, but it does still happen. I did find this one here. And yeah, for some reason Tusos just often love to just spawn here. I don't know why. I think the spawning is still kind of broken over here. But yeah, you can find it all from here. I found some all the way down here. But yeah, I imagine that they get stuck just because of how this terrain goes straight down, and it might be thinking, that that's deep enough to spawn them, and it tries to spawn it and it gets stuck up here because it's so shallow. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not a coder. I don't really entirely know why this happens. The Bloodstalker actually has a couple different emotes that it can do, making it the only dino in ARK that actually has this feature. So when you go into your emote menu over here, you have all these different emotes, and normally this is what would happen. So you go ahead and just click one, and as you can see, it just kind of picks up its foot and stomps the ground a little bit. There are two emotes that actually have an animation, the first one being Thank. As you can see, he bows, which is pretty cool. The other one is this one, which is Taunt, which he taunts at a person, which is pretty cool as well. So yeah, just something I thought it was interesting. The Diplocaulus is a dino that can be found in ARK, but did you know that they actually exist in real life? If you look up the hammerhead salamander, these things are actually real and actually do some of the same kind of things. Well, it doesn't give you oxygen like in game. Just go look it up, it's actually kind of interesting. There's a lot to go over this guy. The Osidon cannot be picked by any flyer on ARK. Here's video proof, as you can see on screen. They're trying to use griffins, quetzals, literally anything, and the Osidon for some reason cannot be picked. Now, I don't know if this is a feature, it could be a bug or something, but if you are watching this in a couple months, it most likely will be fixed. But until this day, if you ever just want to go out and have some fun, well, just know you literally cannot be picked on these guys. Over here on Extinction, by this random pillar, for some odd reason, there is mesh that just kind of gets in the way here. It is a little bit aggravating, and I figured I would just kind of put it in here, especially because it blocks your camera and it blocks your character's movement. So the only thing that you can do is go backwards. You literally can't even go side to side on this. Now, believe it or not, you can actually force tame defense units, even though there technically is no proper spawn command for them. And well, they shouldn't even be able to be ridden, but for some reason, you can straight up ride these things. And yeah, when you ride them, your player not only goes invisible, but you can access him, you can move side to side. He has actual abilities too. He has three main abilities, being this one, which is right click, which is kind of like spikes the ground, his regular attack, which is left click, which actually goes through different phases, and C allows you to basically turn into a Doedicurus. So it just kind of does make you wonder, what did ARK really want to use this for? Considering that you can actually use him, does make you really question it, and he even turns and looks at you too. I think that the defense unit was actually supposed to be meant for something a lot bigger than just what it is today. Also, the defense units apparently when they breed can drop a fertilized Tapejara egg, but I couldn't prove that based off of just the info that I found, and I even tried it in game. It doesn't really work. So it may work on Evolved. I may put that in a future video. If you're ever on Aberration and you have a Bizobufo, farming these little light bugs actually gives you a crazy amount of cementing paste. So yeah, as you can see there, it gets around 20 to 24 cementing paste per, which is pretty insane, and it adds up very, very quickly. Like I already have 44, I already have 38 chitin, and that's on official stats. I have not modified anything. If you need some easy CP, well, just go around Aberration and just farm these light bugs. They're literally everywhere, and they're actual beacons because they literally pop out as you with light. If your mech is ever really damaged and he is about to be killed and his health is very, very low, well, believe it or not, the scout can actually heal him. So let me go ahead and show you how this works. So get on your scout. I usually just go in third person because it's easier to see. And all you have to do is either just be near him or you can attack him usually, but just by being near him, it actually heals him up. The scout does like a little bit of an animation when you're right on top of him. It's like almost as if he's fixing him up. A lot of players don't even know that this is a thing. I thought it was pretty cool, so I'd kind of put it in here. If you're ever farming underwater with an anglerfish, believe it or not, if you come in contact near any other anglerfish and you're within a certain radius of them, well, the anglerfish actually get attracted to his light, which is kind of funny. It just kind of shows you how dumb that these little things are, considering that they literally get stuck on another anglerfish. I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, it doesn't always happen, but for the most part, and from what I've seen in the dossier and all that, it is just kind of a dumb little like mechanic that these things have. It's kind of funny though. And now when you have an Oasasaur, they're usually really good for just like reviving dinos or something, but they actually have a couple other really insane abilities. First of all, when you have a crop plot and you place it down on its back, anywhere, it doesn't really matter, and you walk up to it, it is actually auto-fertilized, meaning that you do not need any fertilizer for this at all. And not to mention it has a 300% greenhouse effect, basically acting as a greenhouse on its back. Now over here, I actually planted some crops just to kind of show this, and yeah, these were just planted a couple minutes ago, and they're already at seedling, and I think they're about to hit their second stage. These ones are the InstaGrow ones, so that's a little bit different. But yeah, they do work pretty well, and honestly, it's probably one of the best ways to grow crops in my opinion, because you can plant roughly 40 or 50 ones, actually, considering that you can stack them. Pretty much infinite crops. So if you need a really good spot to kind of have a crop area, don't build a greenhouse. I would just recommend getting one of these. But yeah, as you can see, there's no fertilizer in it. Then I'm going to go ahead and just put a seed in it, and boom, it should hit. Well, here in a second. It always takes a minute for some odd reason. It should hit any second now. Yep, it decided to take it, I think. Nope, still hasn't consumed it yet. There it goes. Yeah, so it does take a minute, kind of like a regular crop plot. Now, for some odd reason, the Quetzal cannot pick up a Gallimimus. No matter what I do, it will not pick it up. But for some reason, we can pick up stuff like a mammoth. Make it make sense, ARK. Make it make sense. Now, fun fact, if you ever die and you go back to your corpse, sometimes it will actually spawn the Meganora, or the little dragonfly little guys. They randomly will spawn on corpses with about, I believe, a 5% chance to spawn on them. And as you can see, here is my bag for my body. They instantly just eat the body. So if you're ever wondering, why your body has turned into a bag, most of the time, it's actually these little guys. Over here on the center behind the giant waterfall, here are the coordinates just for you to find. But if you come directly behind the waterfall, there's actually a pretty decent base spot. Now it's more of kind of a rat hole in a sense, but it's just not very big. But hey, I was kind of bored. I didn't really know what to do with this information, so I was like, hey, why not put it in this video? But it goes back quite a good distance, and then this is your main room, which kind of is water for some reason. I'm not entirely sure. But now back in the day on Evolved, before ARK is, what ARK is today, well, Pteranodons used to be able to actually C-spin sideways. Yes, believe it or not, there's actually proof of this in the old trailers that they used to make. And well, I don't know why this feature ever got taken out. And as you can see in the trailer, he literally is C-spinning sideways around things. Just ARK, why did you take the good things from us? If you're ever in single player or you're an admin on a server, try out this command. GFI beer 100. It will give you a thing of beer in your inventory, but you literally cannot do anything with this. You cannot drop it out of your inventory, you cannot move it, you cannot transfer it. It is permanently stuck in your inventory forever. The only thing that you can do is track it on your screen. But other than that, it is a permanent icon that is fully stuck in your inventory until you are dead, or maybe even transferring servers. I haven't really tested that part out. But yeah, thought it was kind of interesting, but there's literally nothing to do with this. Now, in my last video that was covering useless facts, I covered the skeletal remains on Aberration, and there was a ton of comments going over what this thing could be. Well, you guys actually solved it, and here's the proof. So, a lot of you guys said that it was the thing called The Empty Man, which was a movie that came out back in 2020, I believe. And, well, as you can see, side-by-side photos, this is proof. This is 100% The Empty Man. As you can see, this was a skeleton in the movie, and this is the one in ARK. It looks pretty much identical. Now, I didn't actually watch the movie, so I don't entirely know what it's about, but based off the info that I gathered over around 5-ish minutes, well, basically, he was like a demon that kind of like controlled people and talked through their minds, I believe, and I could be totally wrong. But yeah, kind of an interesting little thing that the devs put in Aberration. Now, believe it or not, the Reaper can actually change how it looks depending on what biome that it's in. So for example, when you go ahead and bury him over here around these kind of canyon rock looking things, it will actually match the color to it the best of its ability. As you can see, it matched it pretty well. I mean, from a distance, you kind of can tell it's a Reaper, but for players that aren't really looking for Reapers, you're gonna kind of overlook it. And to prove this, here's one up here in the Arctic that I buried as well. So let's go ahead and bury this one. And as you can see, it changes his color to kind of match the snow. Now, it didn't do as good of a job. I think I kind of buried him on a little bit of a incline or whatever, but I had him buried somewhere around here, and his entire thing was white. So it tries to match it based off the biome that it's in. If you trap some beavers in a little cage, kind of similar to how I have, they will actually produce beaver dams for you. Now this only works in certain regions and on certain maps, so it's not going to work everywhere. But from some of the other research that I've done, it does take a good bit for the first ones to spawn, but after then you should get maybe 1 or 2 every couple hours most likely. So it's not really the best tactic for farming beaver dams, but I mean, if you have a good amount of them, it might actually farm you a good chunk. But it's so just random, and it's just like it doesn't really work as well as, you know, I would really want it to actually put it in a proper video. Now, if you've ever had a Bloodstalker on Evolved, you would know that they're used for a lot of interesting different things. But something a little bit interesting is, well, their names randomly change. Now, this today is technically already patched, I believe. I couldn't get it to function, so I had to kind of, you know, maneuver it. But yeah, anyways, every time that you drink a beer and you are around a Bloodstalker, their name changes. So yeah, like I said, it doesn't work, but here are the names that you get according to all the research that I've done. You get Creepypasta, you get Bloodletty Spaghetti, Just a Bunch of Evil, just like a bunch of evil, my bad, Daddy Boglegs, Mr. Wiggles, Flying Spaghetti Monster, that's probably my favorite one right there, Count Dragular, Grabby McSlurpy, Dr. Stabby, Free Hugs with a Z, Demonic Twine, and Man Spider. These are all the names that it just turns into. So for some reason, every time that you drink a beer or something, like during a raid, if you have noticed it on Evolved, well, the names will just randomly change. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't really work. It doesn't function as at the moment. I could be doing something wrong. But yeah, these are all of the names that it can just turn into randomly. So if you ever think it's like your tribe mate that's messing with you, well, no, it's not. It's just ARK's code, and they did this on purpose as just a little bit of a little Easter egg. If you have yourself a Moss Chops and you leave them on watering, as a lot of people actually do, believe it or not, they have better survival instincts than, well, your little sister most likely. So yeah, bringing it over to a Carno and making sure that he's just on wandering and on aggressive, he will actually run away from any hostiles, which is kind of cool. So yeah, here's this Carno. Let me make sure that he is aggroed onto him properly. There you go, just to show proof. And he at least tries to get away. He's just so slow and so weak, well, they never can really do. But hey, at least they have the right mindset. Now, fun fact. In the top right corner of my screen, you can probably see I'm speaking in game. Well, did you know that you can actually do that in a scout? So if you're in a scout, you can go in a third person to kind of see a little bit better, but you can actually talk to people, which means you can hide in places and spy on certain people and actually just straight up talk to them. So for example, here's this player, and you can just say random things like,
right, I'll tell you what, you fat little
kind of a useless feature, but if you like to troll some players, well, there you go. The Calicotherium is one of those weird dinos that a lot of people don't really use. Believe it or not, he actually has 2 different abilities based off of if he's tamed or not. So let me go ahead and show you the first one. When he's tamed, you know how you can throw stuff? Well, you can normally just throw a bit of a boulder, right? And well, I mean, you can keep doing this over and over. But did you know, if he's wild, he actually throws something else. So here's a wild Calicotherium. Now let's see if I can get him to throw. He doesn't always want to throw instantly, so let's try and... he just threw, but he missed. Okay, let's see if I can get him to throw one more time. So as you can see, he throws poop. So instead of boulders, he throws literal poop at you, which is just kind of interesting. Wild equals poop, tamed equals boulder. I don't think you can throw poop. Let me try really quick just to see if I can prove it. Yeah, no, you can't throw poop. You can only throw these boulders. It's kind of interesting. In fact, he just did it again. Now, the Ravager is normally one of those dinos that's really only used to climb on zip lines. And to do that, you just hit spacebar, and as you can see, you are on the zip line. But believe it or not, you don't actually have to be riding him in order for him to actually get on the zipline with you. So for example, I have him on the lowest following setting just so that I can, guarantee that he follows. And if you hop on the zipline, well, he actually hops on too. Well, sometimes he likes to get stuck inside of you, but yeah, there you go. And as you can see in K mode, he is actually following me on the zipline. He is a little bit slower than me though, but he does indeed follow me. Let me hop off just to show you. As you can see, they actually follow you even if you aren't riding them. Back in the day, Ascendant items actually used to be red. Today, they're more of a tealish kind of color, But for a lot of you older players, this probably just brought back a memory that you completely forgot about. But yes, all ascendant items used to actually be kind of a bright-ish kind of red. I'm gonna try to find video proof of it or photo proof of it just to put it on screen, but I'm not entirely sure, as you know, I can't really just revert files to go back to all that. But yeah, if you are a new player, it's something that you probably have never heard of and you're probably like, why does this matter? Trust me, for the people that knew about this was kind of a big deal back then. When traveling in the redwoods on honestly any map, if you fly about at this level, you will almost always get pounced off of your bird by a Thylo. And yes, I mean almost always. Just go ahead and give it a try. The Griffin's turn radius makes it almost perfectly always come to you every single time that it turns. So for example, as you can see, he does this full little circle, and he goes directly above the player every single time. ARK, why can't you do this for other things like wyverns? Especially because you can literally just hop up and get onto him instantly. Like, let me go ahead and show you. As you can see, he literally is at the perfect height while still being able to fly. ARK, please make all the flyers act like this. Fun fact, you can actually place torches on saddles. As you see here with the Stego, you can drag the torch straight over to your saddle, and boom, just like that, you have light that is facing outward. So as you're sitting on here in first person, kind of looking around when you're roaming at night, well, you actually have a little bit of light to help you out. Now this works for any dino that has a saddle. I have not seen one dino that does not take it. The Parasaur is a little bit different. It kind of is on top, so it goes around it more. You even have the Rex. I only have the Tech Rex saddle right now because I have mods turned on. But the Rex doesn't really do too much, so kind of useless for bigger dinos like this. But if you're on a smaller dino that is closer down to the ground, it can actually help you quite a bit at night, unless you just like to put your gamma all the way up or just use an INI. The Anki has one of the strangest, I guess you could call it, bugs in ARK. So when you're above land, the Anki usually hits like this, right? You know, pretty decent pace, right? But, well, when you're in water, he hits like this. For some odd reason, he hits about 25 to 30% faster underwater. I don't really know why. I don't think anybody else really knows why, especially because the Anki has never really been used to farm underwater. But yeah, he hits faster underwater. Over on the center, up in the top corner of the map over here in the redwoods, you can actually physically see the boss arena. Now yes, back in Evolved, you could actually watch people fight in the arena, but unfortunately they did push it up a little bit high, so you really can't see anymore. And at first I thought this was just a low poly copy and paste just to kind of show the boss arena, but no, when you get a little bit closer, well, believe it or not, it is actually the physical boss arena. So yes, I can go inside of it. You can see here's your main entrance right here. You have your little areas where you have the drops at the end of the fight, and you can see the entire center right below you. Pretty cool. It is directly under the redwoods. Now for some reason there is this thing that is still in the game files to this day, and that is super test me. By doing GFI super test meat 100, it will spawn in a piece of meat in your inventory, which is just called super test meat. And it says, you shouldn't have this. Seriously, it's not possible to obtain. There's either a huge bug you need to report, or you're cheating. It's just in the game files and it spoils in less than a minute. I think that the super test meat back in the day was actually used to insta-tame dinos before we had, you know, the proper command lines that we have today, but for some reason, Wildcard still left it in the game files. Over here on Ragnarok, found at 27 and 40, you can find this tree that decided to grow out of the skeleton of, I would want to say most likely a Giga. It's a little bit too big to be a Rex, but I think Giga is probably the proper size. Just thought it was pretty cool as there's really nothing else like this in ARK. If you got one of these little itchies or pelicans, whatever you really want to call them, and you have them on hunt and retreat and have them on aggressive, they will actually go around and pick up dodos for you. Now, at first you're probably like, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, just wait a second, because when it does get them, it will actually pick up prime meat. So let's go ahead and change his stance to aggressive. And as you can see, he goes straight after the dodos. And then when he brings the dodos to you, well, it has this bit of a golden kind of buff around them. And as you can see, he has killed it, and it has this little golden sparkle buff around them. And when you harvest it, it gives you prime meat. And he will just keep doing this. So if you need some easy prime and you have yourself a pelican, there you go. By typing in show instance foliage in your command menu, it deletes all of the foliage that is around you. Now this really just kind of turns your world into this just dystopian kind of nightmare in a way, because there is literally nothing to look at. It is strictly just terrain. Like the canyons, well, it doesn't look too different, but stuff like the snow biome and redwoods, it just straight up looks pretty creepy. And you can still see dinos, you can still see a bunch of stuff here, and believe it or not, everything is still technically here, you just can't really see it. Now this only works on single player or on official servers that allow this, but on official you cannot turn this on, and well, I mean, I kinda see why. When ascending on the island, you'll notice this little bridge room that is right before the Overseer boss fight, which kind of just shows you all the supply crates that are being dropped down into the Ark. Well, if you look underneath the floor, you can actually see the island as a whole. But unlike the center's kind of, out of map stuff, well, this one is unfortunately fake. If you ghost through this area and then you bring some binoculars and look through here, well, as you can see, it's all just stretched textures all around the same shape as the island. At first, I thought that this was actually the island, as its physical whole, but yeah, this was proven false. So, still kind of a cool thing, but unfortunately, you cannot go down to it. Your map just kind of turns to darkness. Over on Club Ark, as long as you're on single player, as you can see, if you fly up, you can actually see all of the stuff outside of the map, which just shows all the missions, and you can actually physically go to them, which is kind of cool. A lot of players don't even really know that unless you go into photo mode, then you can also see it. But underneath the map lies something a little bit more interesting. If you go into ghost mode, and you fly directly under here, at first you don't really see anything, right? Well, if you keep going underneath, you'll see this little area down here with a box, some banners, all kinds of just weird, interesting things. Inside of the box lays another box. Inside of that box, well, unfortunately, is just nothing. But if you keep going down, well, you actually have ruins of the Power Rangers mod that was in ARK. And when you hit this right here, you can actually get the Power Rangers DLC, but it does log you out, and I think it just kind of makes you go ahead and buy it in the store. I haven't really tested it out, but yeah, it lays underneath this map and is just kind of a bunch of them all combined together into one. At least I believe. This might be one character as a whole, I'm not entirely sure. You have the Megazord up here, and well, I don't know actually. This might be a full character, I don't know. I don't really know Power Rangers, but just kind of makes you wonder, why is this here? Even has the Ark Ascended X Power Rangers on the signs here as well, meaning this was like supposed to be in Club Ark, but just kind of was abandoned. Now outside of the center, you can see all these just distant mountains, hills, all kinds of stuff. But at launch, a lot of players thought that you could actually go out to these. Well, unfortunately, you can't, and well, there is a barrier, which does kind of suck because it kind of pushes you back. We all thought that this was going to be extra room, but if you ghost through it and you go only a couple feet, it will kill you. So you have to go into photo mode. Now, when you're in photo mode, go down here and make sure that your max speed is all the way up, and you can literally just explore this whole area. It is covered in just these dense mountains, especially a good amount of detail for just being a backdrop. It actually has a lot of trees that you can actually harvest, but just doesn't have really any grass or any just main textures. But it just does make you wonder, were they planning on making the center much bigger than it really is today? Or is this all just kind of for show? Behind all of this is just very burdened. There's nothing really down here, and people aren't gonna really see this when they're playing, so it makes sense why they did this. But this goes on for a good while, especially the one on the opposite side, which I'll show you here in a second, the one that's down there underneath all of the waterfalls. But there's just all these just kind of random thrown together mountains, and yeah, it does really suck that we can't go to this. But let me go ahead and show you all the ones down there. So as you can see, when you come down here in the waterfall area, you can see there is a lot more down here, but these ones are a lot more distant and they're just kind of hard to see from the top just because of how the fog and clouds are all built. But yeah, so there's behind this barrier. Now there is actually 2 barriers, I believe. After the second barrier, then you can go into photo mode, otherwise it will kill you, so you have to be very, very careful. But there are more of these mountains that are decently detailed, and as it goes back farther and farther, it gets more less poly, more like that. Here's a floating tree, which is kind of cool, but it goes all the way back, and you can even see into the distance, all the way back there. That is your furthest mountain, and it is literally just those shapes that you see. It's not really anything else. Now when playing on Astraeos, there is a very interesting glitch that just happens randomly. In fact, I couldn't really reproduce it. I had to literally sit here for 25 minutes just to get this to work, just to show you in this video. But when you're wandering around, these trees every once in a while will just bug out and start flying across your screen. I don't know why I thought this was interesting, but hopefully you guys think it's interesting too, because it's been bugging me because this happens so much to me randomly, but every time that I try to figure out what it is, it always disappears and I can never find it again. So yeah, if anybody knows anything about why this is happening, please let me know down in the comments. Also, now the sky is bugging out. That's a new one too. Now believe it or not, the Diplo is one of the only few dinos that can actually be tamed by either a passive tame or a knockout tame. So let me go ahead and show you. So I have Mejoberries in the back of my inventory and he has a passive tame like normal, but believe it or not, you can actually also knock him out. Now I did feed him, so I don't think that's gonna work. So I have another Diplo over here. So let's go ahead and shoot him and let's knock him out so that I can show you that you can literally do this either way. So as you can see, I have that Diplo still over here and this one is fully knocked out. And if you put any kind of berries in his inventory, well, as you can see, it is taming. So you can tame a Diplo either way. Now for some odd reason, saddles have durability on ASA, but on ASC they have never really had this. Now the durability can be damaged whenever something is hitting your dino, but it doesn't do anything. So durability quite literally does not affect how your saddle is, working on your dino. To this day, I have no clue why this is even in the game and if they meant for saddles to be destroyed on dinos, but who knows. Now fun fact, you probably didn't know this, but a trilobite actually has a lot more legs than you might have thought. Going right underneath a trilobite, which you've probably never seen the underneath of because they're always on the ground and even when you kill them their body does not move, well, as you can see, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 legs on each side, making it a total of 26 legs. Now I believe this is one of the dinos that has the most legs other than the Arthro of course, but for such a small dino, he has quite a bit of legs. And finally, our last useless tip, well, has to do with the frog. As you can see, he has a couple main abilities, the first one being his little tongue punch, the next one being his little tongue sideways, and he can, jump like usual, but as soon as you hit the water, well, his abilities actually go ahead and change. So as you can see in K mode, this is his main ability, like his little tongue punch like I showed you, and this is his other ability. They literally do nothing, and it makes him completely useless underwater. And that was 50 more useless facts about ARK Survival Evolved and ARK Survival Ascended. I really don't know why you guys like these videos, but hey, if you liked it, leave a like, leave a comment, and hit the subscribe button, or else you'll die. Just kidding, I'm kidding YouTube, don't demonetize this video, please.